you combine a season premiere with the final show before a pay-per-view, you quite literally have a wrestling presentation that doesn't know if it's coming or going. Let's sift through it. This is Raw Graded. Alexa Bliss out to start to introduce us all to her friend, The Fiend. Out comes The Fiend, spooky music and all that jazz. Gets into the ring and they stand in the centre of the ring, a little bit like the Beetlejuice wedding scene. And here comes Retribution, all piling around the ring. It looks like they're going to attack The Fiend and Bliss. Lights go out and they're gone. Here come the Hurt Business and they get into it with Retribution. And we have ourselves an 8-man tag team match after the break. So these guys are going at it. A bit of a mundane 8-man tag, nothing massively exciting here. There's a moment just before the second break. They're all fighting and they end up outside the ring like they're going to get into a big sort of West Side Story style battle outside the ring. And then the Fiend scratching down a blackboard sound happens. The Fiend appears on the screen. We go to the ad break. We come back. No Fiend. Okay. Lashley dominates T-Bar, ends up hitting him with several big power moves, then puts the Hurt Lock on, and T-Bar taps out. Just like that. The Retribution have lost by submission. Then, lights out, red lights up. Oh my days, here's the Fiend, and he batters Retribution, like, unashamedly, destroys them. And then Alexa Bliss appears on the Tron and says, "Let me in," something like that. And that is our opening segment of Raw. Whoa, what a baffling start. I'm giving this a D. What a baffling start to Raw. Good to see Mustafa Ali looking a bit heelish, I guess. But you had Fiend and Retribution at the beginning, which led into Hurt Business. You then had Hurt Business cleanly defeat Retribution. Like, why have the clean loss now? And then Retribution just gets battered by the Fiend. What is the point of anything, of life in general? I don't know. This was rubbish. AJ Styles out next, and he has himself a bodyguard. That's the guy from off of Raw Underground who was looking after the door. He's big, isn't he? So it's AJ Styles and his new bodyguard who refuses to leave the ring for the match at first until eventually he just decides to. That was a good build-up. It's AJ and Matt Riddle here, two new guys from SmackDown here on Monday Night Raw. Riddle gets a good start in this one, but we see him go for a running kick on AJ outside the ring, and bodyguard stands in the way, and Riddle stops and backs away. When we come back from break, AJ's dominating. Riddle gets back into it. At one point, they're fighting on the top rope, and Riddle falls to the outside. We see Big Bad Jordan scrunch up his fist like he's going to punch Riddle. Riddle legs it like a frightened cat into the ring where he eats an enziguri and a Styles Clash. There we go. 1, 2, 3. B- for that one. I think you could have had someone else play the Matt Riddle role here as just like semi-cowardly face. It seemed a strange one. It's a good enough TV match. These guys are capable of better, and I think we all have to be frightened of bodyguard Jordan now. I think that's the rule. After Drew addresses this Sunday's Hell in a Cell match and he threatens to pay Randy a visit later on tonight, we get the Raw Women's Championship decided. It is Lana, who won the Battle Royal last week, challenging Asuka. And there's been a lot of talk about Lana over the last 7 days after the big win for her on last Monday. This feels like the start of something new for Lana. She gets a couple of bits of offense in on Asuka and it's looking quite good for her. And maybe, just maybe, there's going to be, oh wait, no, she's just tapped out to the Asuka lock and that's it within 2 minutes. Okay. All right, well, that was that. And then Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler immediately burst into existence. And you guessed it, Lana goes through the announce table. Baszler gets into it with Asuka, but Asuka sends her packing with a hip attack and then heads off up the ramp. Okay, well, there you go. I'm going to be polite and give it a C-. The match, nothing to it. What was the point of doing all that stuff with Lana last week? Giving her that win in the Battle Royal, only to write this off uber quick. I don't get it. I don't get the point. Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler in the ring after the break saying Asuka didn't even hurt us, not even bothered, mate. They didn't say that, but they did say we're not friends, but we're dominating the tag team division and we challenge anybody to prove otherwise. Out comes Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose. And then here comes Lacey Evans along with Peyton Royce. And they do this thing where they keep getting in the way of each other's entrances. So they're now an odd couple tag team. Okay, we'll get to that. And then the Riott Squad bomb out. It says something when Riott Squad is one of your veteran tag teams, doesn't it? And we have an impromptu fatal four-way tag match. The titles aren't on the line. At least that's what Tom Phillips seems to think. It's not massively made clear, but regardless, this match becomes a thing. Pretty average combat between everybody. Doesn't last massively long. Everybody starts hitting triangle, hitting all their big moves. We see the Riott Squad land a kick on right kick on Lacey Evans. Looks like they're going to win it, but then Baszler pulls Ruby out of the ring, gets her in the clutch outside the ring. Nia Jax tags herself in and hits the Samoan drop for the 1, 2, 3. Lacey Evans gets pinned, and Jax and Baszler dominate, I guess. Giving this one a C- as well. Average match. Some baffling stuff going on this week. Lacey Evans and Peyton Royce as a tag team. The whole thing being that they're an odd couple team, because that's fresh. Certainly haven't had that for a week. And you know what? There is something about Peyton Royce. Like, as a singles wrestler, like, she's really strong, but I feel like she'd benefit from being in a tag team, in like a well-established tag team. I think it'd be great to find her a tag team partner. Oh wait, she had one. You broke them up. Thanks. And C-. The Unforgettable Concert by Elias is up next. Believe it or not, this is my highlight of the night. So Elias has a big old band for this, and he dedicates his first song, Amen, to Jeff Hardy. And the little album, and it's not until, and maybe I haven't been paying attention, it's not until the little album appears in the corner and he starts playing it, and like you start realizing there's structure, and you go, it's then I realised, oh my God, he's actually bringing out an album next week. I thought it was all just a bit of bobbins. I thought it was all just a little bit of, like, you know, tomfoolery from Elias. No, it's a real album he's doing, and the song's really good. It's not it's certainly not going to change the world of music, but I enjoyed it. Well put together song. He then gives us a little bit of another song afterwards, and he comes back for an encore, asks to have his guitar handed to him. And the person who took his guitar off him is just playing this really angry rock riff. Turns out to be Jeff Hardy, doesn't it? Who swings for Elias with the guitar, but Elias makes a run for it. And we see Jeff Hardy stood on the top after attempting to commit assault on Elias, saying, I didn't run you over, man. I didn't run you over. That's a weird visual. Right, I'm giving this an A, okay? And I don't know whether it's the fact that Raw has been so ropey to this point, or whether it's just the fact that this was probably one of the better concert bits they've done on Raw in a long time. Like I enjoy it. Oh, it was, you know what? That plus you look at the Thunderdome and everyone in the Thunderdome has lighters, or little phone lights on the go and stuff like that. Oh, it was just a cool moment. I enjoyed it. I'm giving it an A. Backstage, Miz and Morrison are giving some stick to Tucker since his tag team partner is now on the other brand. Tucker challenges them to a tag match later on. He's going to go find himself a tag partner. We will return to this later. Kofi Kingston is out with Xavier Woods for his match with Sheamus. Some stuff back and forth on the microphone here. They're talking about how the New Day may be split up, but they still very much rock and all this stuff. Sheamus calls Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods 2 turds of New Day. 2 turds. See what you did there? And then Xavier Woods and Kofi Kingston say that the New Day is not split up. Like Big E is on SmackDown, they're on Raw. They're spreading their seed across all the brands. They're like Johnny Appleseed. Back and forth with some more words, and then we have a match. I don't know how I feel about this constant run of promos as people are starting matches. Some of them come across as a bit ropey. But anyway, good match with these guys, actually. During the match, Big E appears on the Thunderdome wall. You need to do something, I think, to highlight these people that appear on the Thunderdome walls. Whether you put like a fun banner around them, or like a Zoom background on them, or something, because the commentators will go, go, oh, look, there he is. There's Mark Henry, or there's JBL. And I'll be going, where? Am I not paying attention? It's hard to tell. You need to put like a banner around them or something. Sheamus starts aggressively. Kofi rallies and goes for a dive outside the ring, but Sheamus catches him and drops him on the hardest part of the apron. It is then after the break, with Kofi getting a shoeing, that we see Big E for the first time on the Thunderdome wall, and that almost inspires Kofi to get back into this. He doesn't quite land a Trouble in Paradise. Instead, we see Sheamus turning it into an Alabama slam for a near fall. We see a top rope Russian leg sweep from Kofi, which Xavier would signpost as a new move, and it is indeed a new move. We see back and forth these two go. It ends with Kofi landing a Trouble in Paradise out of nowhere and getting the 1, 2, 3. Giving this one a B, a strong match from these two tonight. Well, a nice way to re-establish everybody on Monday Night Raw once again. These guys have been on SmackDown, they're now part of the Raw roster. It's a nice way to introduce them. They do need to highlight the VIPs in the Thunderdome though. That's not a dig on the match, that's just a random observation that I'm making now. Retribution are backstage like, oh, it didn't even hurt earlier on when the Fiend beat us up. Not even bothered anyway, not even bothered about losing to the Hurt Business. It's Ali at the centre of this little gathering, and he's talking straight to the camera, and he's saying that they can do anything they want to inflict harm. And even Ali says, with a laptop, a secret, and one click, he can bring someone crumbling down. Wait a minute. Secret, click, bring down. Oh my. Mustafa Ali lowered the briefcase at King of the Ring 99. Da, da, da. No, he was the SmackDown hacker. And they actually full on say, by the way, I was the SmackDown hacker after this. I'm glad they tied that up. But Mustafa Ali, really great promo backstage, talking about how stupid WWE were unable to market somebody called Mustafa Ali. And he says that it just speaks about how the end is days. He is uniting like-minded people so the truth about WWE will be heard. This needed to be the promo in the ring at the start of the show. You shouldn't be doing this after Retribution have taken a shoeing. This should have been how we started Raw. Ali in the centre of the ring leading the conversation as opposed to all that happened. It's weird. The layout of this show is weird this week. Ali should have done this in the ring. This was the great promo stuff by Mustafa Ali, and kind of pull back a little bit of credit for Retribution after a turgid night. Titus O'Neil tries to join the Hurt Business. They respond in kind with a beating, so that's good. Miz and Morrison head to the ring. They call out Tucker to see whether he's found a tag team partner for his match, and he has indeed. He has searched the globe for his tag partner tonight, El Gran Gordo. Definitely not Otis in a mask. This leads The Miz just to cut this fiery, impassioned promo saying that Otis is a joke, how he, The Miz, is a superstar and has all the trappings of a superstar, yet he is booed. Otis is the underdog. He is the joke, and he wants to get the Money in the Bank briefcase off him because he doesn't believe he deserves it and doesn't know the true power of it. So we continue that here. It's the fact that Otis even comes out with the lunchbox with the Money in the Bank briefcase in. And they sort of play that off by Tucker saying, oh, he's just holding it for Otis because El Gran Gordo's a nice guy. Miz just loses it here. Really, really angry, passionate promo, which ends with, you can dress up however you want, Otis. You can put lipstick on a pig and it's still a pig. This leads to Tucker and El Gran Gordo getting into the ring, and the match goes from there. Otis and Gordo are on the offense to start, but the dirt sheet isolate Tucker. He eventually breaks away, gets the hot tag to Gordo, who just runs wild on the Miz and Morrison. And however, it all falls apart. We see Gordo down at one point and Miz looking for the skull-crushing finale. Then R-Truth runs through the ring, being chased by the 24/7 division. This allows Gordo a chance to get back up, knock the Miz down, and land the Caterpillar and a Vader Bomb, whilst Lucha House Party watch on. This could be another strand we go down. And it's El Gran Gordo picking up the win over The Miz. I'm going to give this one a B, actually. There's lots of silliness in this. Miz's promo work was excellent. And wasn't it, you know what, the whole I know we've insulted some like the odd couples that don't get on as a recurring shtick in wrestling, and the whole I've been sacked / fired / replaced, but I'm coming back under a mask, nudge nudge, wink wink, the whole Mr. America thing isn't new ground. But I enjoyed what they did here with Otis doing it. I just enjoyed it, and it wasn't a brilliant match, but it was a good enough match. I'm giving it a B. We go to Firefly Funhouse. They're unpacking their new home at Monday Night Raw. Ramblin' Rabbit and Bray Wyatt have a nice little heart-to-heart about friendship before Ramblin' Rabbit gets eaten by Mercy the Buzzard. Do you remember back last year when like Ramblin' Rabbit was quite an interesting little character within that Firefly Funhouse universe? The idea that Ramblin' Rabbit was probably like the link to the other side in some of the stuff he was saying. Now he's just kind of become, it's funny because he keeps getting eaten or killed. That's funny. There's a knock at the door. We get a new friend in the Firefly Funhouse, and it's Alexa Bliss, dressed a little bit like a Freddy Krueger type thing, and she's there saying the fun has just begun. Bray Wyatt and Alexa Bliss now moving in to Monday Night Raw. Again, why? If all these people have got all these places on the show, you didn't need to do that bit at the front of the show. You didn't. Everyone's represented. I feel like that 8-man tag with the Fiend involved in that, it just did harm for everybody. Braun Strowman and Keith Lee in a battle of the big boys next. Braun is smarting from his match with Roman Reigns on Friday, and he goes for a power slam on Keith Lee early, but he can't pick him up because he's too hurt. So Keith Lee goes wild, just takes down Braun Strowman, but at one point, as Keith is picking Braun up, Braun hits Keith Lee low, then bounces off the ropes with a big boot. 1, 2, 3 pins Keith Lee. Now Keith Lee kicks out at like 3.5, but regardless, you've just pinned Keith Lee off a big boot. Following the match, Keith gets into the face of Braun Strowman and hoofs him below the belt with his shoe in his bowels. And Braun is on the floor, lying there a bit like a Hans Mole man taking a football to the groin, as Keith Lee just gives him a good old telling off. Oh, C- for this. I was looking forward to seeing the big beefy boys batter each other. They've been doing that on Raw for a couple of weeks. Keith and Braun fighting all over the shop, like just wanton destruction. This week, it's a low blow and a kick to the head that shuts Keith Lee down. Really, the harm that you do with stuff like this, because you've had Randy Orton nervous about hitting the RKO on Keith Lee because he's worried Keith will kick out. But then Braun beats Keith with a low blow and a big boot. Oh, really? What are we doing? I wasn't a fan of this at all. C- is quite polite, just because I quite like Keith. I love Keith, but C-. And we cap off Raw with Randy Orton's message from hell. They've lowered the Hell in a Cell so Randy can sit there and contemplate some of the moments he's had in his career inside Hell in a Cell. He talks about the people that he's beaten in there, the things that he's done in there, and talks about how it was in Hell in a Cell that he looked the dead man straight in the eyes and earned his respect. Drew McIntyre marches towards the ring, cutting off Randy Orton. It looks like he's going to get into the cell, but there's a chain on the cell, and Orton's like, you can't get in, come on then, get the chain off, rip the chain off. And Drew goes, all right, I will. Drew takes a couple of steps back. I'm thinking he's going to kick the door off. No, he just reaches around the barricade, pulls out some bolt cutters, pop, opens up the bolts, opens up the chains with the bolt cutters, goes into the cell, takes a couple of steps in, and they're shouting at each other, they're going to fight, Raw goes off the air. Oh, I guess we have to watch the pay-per-view to see them fight. You know, the thing that they have been doing every week for the last 2 months. I've seen mixed reviews about this online. I'm personally giving this a C, right? I thought Orton's promo work's always been great. I thought that some of the stuff he was saying here was good, but didn't really get anywhere with it because then Drew came out. They built this big moment like Drew's going to bust his way into the cell, and he pulls out bolt cutters. I don't know. Is it me? I just thought it would have been a much cooler visual to have Drew just kick the door in. You could do that. You could have done that. And then it's the fact that he used the bolt cutters and then got into the cell and then nothing happened. I get you want to save that for the pay-per-view, but surely, which is a more arresting visual before a pay-per-view, right? Is it Drew McIntyre going chick chick? Oh, listen here, you. Or is it Drew McIntyre flipping hoofing the cage door off and going, I'll have you? That's a more arresting visual, isn't it? You could have done that. You could have done that, but you didn't. And yeah, so that's how Raw ended. It was a C for me. And overall this week, Raw is getting a C- from me, and that's quite polite. Highlight being the Elias concert. That was the best part of Raw this week. I thought it was really good. And there was so much in there that was just confusing and inconsistent. This is what happens when you're doing the season premiere of a TV show, where you're building it as, let's get new eyes on the product, but at the same time, you've got a show to sell on Sunday. So you're saying hello and goodbye in the same breath, and there is a lot of confusion about who is what and where is why. You know, you're serving a lot of masters here. You want to get the Fiend on television early, but there's no point from being there. So there's an arbitrary segment that falls at the behest of one of your main factions. You then have to rebuild that as the night goes on. It was you can't say hello and goodbye at the same time. you can't. This wasn't a great episode of Raw. Was it the worst I've ever seen? There was that one a month or so ago that nearly drove me to tears. It wasn't that bad, but it wasn't great. Hell in a Cell on Sunday though, and I'm at least ready to see Orton and Drew pay off their stuff inside the cell from Monday Night Raw. So we'll get that at least. We'll get that. Stay safe. Love you, bye.